All right, let's jump right in. The crypto market is absolutely buzzing right now. It's a full-on bull run, and it feels like everyone's talking about these massive gains. But here's the thing. How much of that is real, sustainable growth, and how much is just, well, hype? In the next few minutes, we're going to cut right through all that noise and give you the essential breakdown you need to figure out what's really going on.
This quote right here, it pretty much nails the current vibe. There's this massive wave of excitement, partly thanks to what traders call Uptober, because, October is historically a super strong month for crypto. What we're seeing is money moving from the big players like Bitcoin into the smaller alternative coins, or alts. And yeah, even meme coins are making a huge comeback. The big takeaway is that people are feeling bold. They're taking on more risk, and that is a classic textbook sign of a bull market.
So the big question is, how do you separate the real trends from all the background noise? Well, that's exactly what we're here to do. We're going to break down the 4 cryptos that are getting all the attention right now: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP. For each one, we'll look at the super optimistic bull case, and then we'll bring it back down to earth with a much-needed reality check. And you're definitely going to want to stick around to the end, because we'll wrap it all up in one simple, easy-to-use cheat sheet.
Okay, first up, the one that started it all, Bitcoin. It's the king, right? The benchmark for the whole market. And the big narrative driving Bitcoin these days is this idea of it becoming digital gold.
So what's behind this bullishness? Well, it really boils down to 4 key things you see here. First, the big institutions are finally here. We're talking giants like BlackRock with their Bitcoin ETFs. Then there's the halving cycle, which is this built-in supply shock. We'll get to that in just a sec. We've also got some help from the wider economy, with hopes that the Fed will cut interest rates. And finally, there's that core idea of Bitcoin as digital gold, a safe place to put your money when inflation is a worry. You put all that together, and you get a really powerful story.
And this is the number that is everybody talking. Predictions that Bitcoin could blow past $150,000. Now look, this isn't just some random number pulled out of thin air. It's a forecast that's actually based on historical patterns, all tied to this really unique event that's literally written into Bitcoin's code.
So what is this halving you keep hearing about? It's actually pretty simple. Think of it like this. Every 4 years or so, the amount of new Bitcoin being created gets sliced in half. It's automatic. So when you have less new supply hitting the market, but demand stays the same or even goes up, well, basic economics tells you the price has historically gone up. We just had one of these in 2024, and that's exactly why you're seeing these wild predictions.
Okay, but now it's time for that reality check. On the left, you've got the hype, a rocket ship fueled by tons of institutional cash. But on the right, you've got the reality, which is more of a balancing act. You see, those huge price targets assume history is just going to repeat itself perfectly, but we've got new regulations popping up all over the world that could change the game. And maybe even more important, Bitcoin is still seen as a risk-on asset, a lot like a tech stock. What that means is, if the Nasdaq stock market sneezes, Bitcoin is very, very likely to catch a cold.
All right, next up is Ethereum. Now, if Bitcoin is digital gold, then you can think of Ethereum as the world's decentralized computer. It's the engine, the foundation that thousands and thousands of other crypto applications are built on top of, from decentralized finance, or DeFi, all the way to NFTs.
So the bull case for Ethereum is all about its utility and the fact that it's constantly getting better. Recent tech upgrades have made the network way more efficient. And just like Bitcoin, it's now attracting big institutional money with its own ETFs. It's also kind of the main highway for capital flowing into the thousands of smaller altcoins. Plus, its ecosystem is just massive and growing. All of this makes it the natural next step for investors looking to move beyond just Bitcoin. So what on earth was this Dencun upgrade? Okay, imagine Ethereum is a super busy highway. These things called Layer 2s are like express lanes built on top of that highway to make traffic move faster. What the Dencun upgrade did was make it dramatically cheaper to use those express lanes. It's a game changer for lowering costs and clearing up congestion for pretty much everyone using the network.
And this really gets to the heart of Ethereum's dilemma right now. On the one hand, its tech upgrades are incredible. They've boosted its capacity to over 100,000 transactions per second, which really solidifies its top dog status. But on the other hand, you've got these hungry competitors like Solana that are faster and cheaper, and they're starting to chip away at Ethereum's market share. And while the price has been strong, some of the technical charts are hinting that this upward push might be losing a little bit of steam.
Which brings us perfectly to the challengers. Now we're going to look at 2 big-time contenders who are really trying to shake things up.
You got Solana, which is all about raw, face-melting speed, and then you have XRP, which is trying to build bridges with the old-school financial world.
You've probably heard Solana called the Ethereum killer. And honestly, its whole game is about one thing: performance. We're talking crazy low fees and just lightning-fast transactions. That speed has made it the go-to place for anything that needs to happen really, really fast. This includes a ton of DeFi activity and, more recently, an absolute frenzy of meme coin trading.
Now, you'll hear this term TVL thrown around a lot when people talk about ecosystems like Solana. It stands for Total Value Locked, and all it means is the total amount of money that people have put into all the different projects on that specific blockchain. The fact that Solana's TVL is over $50 billion, that's a huge vote of confidence. It means people trust the network with a lot of their capital.
And here's the number behind that whole narrative: over 65,000 transactions per second. I mean, to put that into perspective, that is thousands of times faster than what Bitcoin or even the base layer of Ethereum can handle. This speed, this is Solana's superpower. But, and this is a big but, that speed comes at a price. Solana's biggest reality check is its reliability. The network has actually gone down multiple times this year, which raises some pretty serious questions about how stable it really is. And while that meme coin craziness is driving a ton of activity, you have to ask yourself, is that sustainable? Relying on that kind of viral hype is a risky game without more serious long-term businesses building on the platform.
And now for something completely different: XRP. Its story isn't about DeFi or meme coins at all. It's all about plugging into the financial system we already have. The optimism here is all about getting clearer rules from regulators, its huge list of partnerships with banks for international payments, and this general feeling that it might just be a sleeping giant ready to wake up.
But the reality check for XRP is super important. You see, while everyone's excited about a potential ETF, regulators might hesitate because Ripple, the company behind XRP, still controls more than half of all the tokens. That's a huge centralization red flag. And yeah, the partnerships with banks are real, but the actual amount of money being sent through their system is still just a tiny drop in the bucket compared to the old-school SWIFT system. The real-world adoption just hasn't quite caught up to the hype, at least not yet.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. We've gone through the bullish highs and the sobering reality checks for 4 of the hottest cryptos out there. So now, let's pull it all together into one simple, scannable cheat sheet that you can actually use.
Here's the bottom line. For every single one of these powerful narratives, there's a major risk that you absolutely have to watch. Bitcoin's whole digital gold story runs headfirst into its crazy volatility. Ethereum's dominance as the ecosystem king is being challenged by fierce competition. Solana's incredible speed is constantly being undermined by reliability issues. And XRP's dream of real-world utility is held back by those centralization concerns. This is the balancing act that every single investor has to think about.
And that really leaves us with this one last thought. The crypto market today is this fascinating, chaotic clash of 2 completely different worlds. On one side, you have these buttoned-up Wall Street giants treating Bitcoin like a serious asset. And on the other, you have traders betting it all on the next viral meme coin on Solana. So the billion-dollar question is, which of these forces, the slow, steady institutional story, or the wild, unpredictable hype, is actually going to win out and define what crypto becomes? Honestly, nobody knows for sure. Thanks for tuning in.